again, my mother's side more so, and we moved into a house located in Glenburnie, Maryland, in 1970. They're from 70 to 1980, and it was awful. I mean, it started out as subtle noises and feelings of presence, and it gradually escalated into violent physical attacks on my family and I by these demonic entities. And there is a tie-in with UFOs to this because we actually had a UFO sighting there over our backyard at that house in 1977. And so that was the first sighting of an unidentified flying object that I had, but certainly wouldn't be the last.
Okay. So I want to encourage everybody to read Dark Force. It's one of those books that you don't have to, well, you won't want to put down. It's well, it's scary, and it's like it's like a horror movie. But it's real.
My parents were good people. My father was a master carpenter, hard-working man, a very, very good man, family man at the time. My mother was a homemaker. They were very good, fun-loving people. They were married in 1956. My sister was born in 57. I wasn't born until 1966. So my sister did have some good childhood memories and recollections with them. However, my brother and I, my brother was born a couple of years after, 2.5 years after I was born. We had no childhood memories, no good childhood memories. They were all bad, unfortunately. And we felt very cheated, very robbed of our childhood. We had no normalcy, no semblance of a normal childhood. And again, my parents were good people, but they did believe in God. However, we had never once attended church as children. We were not baptized. We had no religious structure or upbringing whatsoever. So you're correct in what you say about that. So we were wide open for these attacks from the enemy and his minions.
Okay. And how did that lead into the UFO situation? That was around your house, right? Your haunted house?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe that it is all tied together. You know, again, these things I say are based on my personal experiences with this supernatural phenomena, and my conclusions based on endless thousands of experiences that I've had since my childhood. I have to believe, in my case, my family's case, that the majority of these experiences were demonic in nature, and again, there was a plan and an agenda by Satan and his minions to destroy my family, and that's exactly what happened. My family was destroyed, and some members didn't live to tell about it. I mean, there are very few members of my family left, to be quite frank, and it's just awful. I mean, we've had many untimely, tragic deaths over the years.
Mm-hmm. Now, you were saying that this started way back in your mom's side of the family as you looked into it, and there were open doors, which is, I guess, an open door in the Bible would maybe be considered a generational curse. Is that how you see it?
That's exactly right. When we do something, there's two sources from where a curse can come, and the one source is God Himself. He will curse us, and He says in Deuteronomy 28, He gives a list of these things that if we abide in Him and we follow His instruction, then we'll have these blessings upon us. And it goes into quite a bit of detail as to what those blessings are. And then, after that, there's a flip side where He says that if we don't obey what He says and we just disregard Him, then these are the curses that He will bring upon us. So, like God's Word, there's one source. And the enemy, who mimics everything God does, he copies everything and then he flips it. And so this is, these are the two sources of these curses, and I firmly believe that we did have some sort of generational curse upon the family.
Okay. Now, what's your first experience then with UFOs? What's the first time you saw one from your home?
The first sighting occurred in I believe July of 1977, and it was from that submarine area. And we were inside. I would say it was probably around 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. And the power had gone out in the house.
Mm-hmm.
So suddenly we're in the dark, and the power had gone out in all the houses in the area. We could soon find out. And my father, who had left us in 1975, that's a very long story. Maybe we'll get into that another time. But he had come home for a visit. So he happened to be here when this happened. And he went outside to investigate. He was thinking that maybe there was an accident, someone had struck a utility pole or something like that. And he came racing back into the house and he collected us and was yelling and had us to go out in the backyard to see this bizarre object that was hovering over a utility pole. Now this house was located at the bottom of a downhill cul-de-sac with a very large ravine in back of it. And my mother would often comment at different times during us living in the house that she would see like blue lights going down into this ravine. She would be washing dishes in the evening and she would look out the kitchen window which faced that ravine, and she would see these lights going down in the ravine. But back to this sighting, this was a very brilliant white object. I want to say it was shaped like a mushroom kind of, or chef's hat, something like that, and silently hovering over a utility pole, very, very low in the sky. I would say that it was probably, 40 feet or so from our back door, and hovering over this utility pole in the ravine. And other people came out to see this, other neighbors, their power had gone out as well, and I just recall all of us standing out in our yards watching this bizarre object just silently hover. Every once in a while you would see it sway from side to side, and I would say after probably close to an hour, the thing began to slowly rise in altitude, and then it slowly headed off towards the north, and as it headed away, all the power came back on in the house. So that was our first experience with the UFO phenomenon.
What was everybody's impression? Were they scared, or did they think it was neat? Were they excited?
People were, in my family, they were just, by that time we had experienced so many supernatural things that we were pretty much taking everything in stride, because at that point in time, certainly from 1975 until the time that we left in 1980, we as a family, especially my mother, we were being violently, physically attacked by these demonic entities, so we were very, very beaten down and worn down, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So we were kind of taking it in stride. It was an amazing thing to see. And I do recall after that, I would go out and sit. My father had put a pool up years prior to that with a deck attached to the pool. And I recall going out there every night after that with a pair of binoculars and looking for this object, wanting this thing to come back and take me away from the hell that we were going through in that house. So I recall that very vividly.
And since then, you actually have recognized that phenomena as as hell. I mean, it's part of the same thing. Is that right?
Absolutely correct. That's absolutely correct. And it took me a long time to figure that out. It took me nearly losing my life on several occasions to finally come to the understanding what this was all about. And this was something that I don't know why, but I firmly believe that God had a plan for me, probably even before my birth. And I do think that Satan and his minions were trying to stop that and destroy me before anything could unfold, because something great has unfolded and is unfolding as we speak. And God has used me in a wonderful way to be able to reach out to many people who are in need.
Have you ever had a what they say, close encounter of the fourth kind?
I sure have. And again, this is a very bizarre thing to say, but yes, I have in my lifetime experienced just about every possible documented thing imaginable when it comes to supernatural phenomena.